What's up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Nail That Tone, a series that's all about helping you guys achieve some of the most legendary guitar tones of all time. In this week's episode, we're talking about Metallica's And Justice for All. So much cool stuff to talk about as always, so let's get right into it. As always with the Nail That Tone series, the first thing we're talking about is finger tone. Now for finger tone this week, I really wanted to highlight the importance of endurance. Now this is probably where Metallica peaked in terms of their technical ability, so in order to play some of these songs accurately and really well, our technical abilities have to be up to par, and we have to have that incredible endurance that James Hetfield had at the time. So you definitely want to practice your down picking a lot, because I've seen in a lot of covers, and sometimes when people play Metallica covers from this era, is that sometimes they like to simplify the riffs by adding alternate picking or just simplifying the riff in general. But ultimately, if we want to become better players and cover the song more accurately, we do have to work on our endurance. So I would consider practicing with the song, of course, slowing down the tempo a little bit until you just have some great down picking endurance and you're able to play it at the tempo, or if not, even challenging yourself and going on to playing it at an even faster tempo. Some of these classic Metallica songs are great songs to practice that will definitely challenge your rhythm chops and just make you a better rhythm guitar player in general. So now we're talking about what gear was used to record this particular record. Now for us Metallica fans, it's pretty common knowledge that Metallica used mostly the Mark II C++, which is essentially just a modded C++. For the clean sounds, it is known that James Hetfield started to use the Roland JC120, which is an amplifier that they would go on to use on other records. Both James and Kirk at this point in their career would go on to be essentially like ambassadors of the ESP brand and mostly play those guitars. The biggest difference that you're going to hear with those guitars are the pickups, because the style of pickups on those guitars that they were playing were active instead of passive. So the active pickup is just a different design and definitely gave Metallica a different sound moving forward in their career. On a quick side note, I would recommend using an active style pickup if you're going for something really authentic, because the active style pickup definitely has its own characteristics and it's super signature in this record in my opinion. So I would certainly recommend using one of those if you're going for something very authentic. Another recommendation I have is to check out the full interview that the band did on this particular record. So it's on their YouTube page, you can look it up. I think it's over an hour long, just has a lot of cool information, a lot of cool stuff for us Metallica fans. So I would certainly recommend checking out that interview that the whole band did on this record. So now we're talking about what gear I use to get the tone that you guys heard in the beginning of the video. Now instead of talking about the gear that I use, I'd rather just show you guys, because I did make a video on my channel that kind of highlights the guitar, amp, and cab combination that I use to get the tone in this video. So that video pretty much goes over my philosophy on how I dialed in the amp sort of, and how you kind of have to use an EQ in the loop to get something more similar to the record. So instead of talking about it, I'd rather just show you guys. So the video highlights my entire rig, so hopefully you guys will enjoy this next section. Anyway, here is what the amp sounds like by itself. So now I'm going to go ahead and activate the EQ block on my XFX3, again scooping out more of the mids. hopefully that gives you kind of a sound example of what this amp sounds like. Now we're talking about what other gear you could use to get a similar tone. So I would recommend, of course, for this particular tone, any of the lower, kind of more budget-friendly Mesa Boogie stuff, because this section of the video is really to highlight some budget options. Of course, if you want to go for authenticity, you could always go for exactly what Metallica used, but I understand that not everybody has that kind of money to spend on amplifiers and guitars and so forth. So I would recommend some of the lower end Mesa Boogie stuff. Still sounds incredible. I've owned some of it, and this gear can definitely get you in that Metallica territory. I would also recommend, of course, if you're on an even more budget, I would recommend getting some kind of plugin. I know Amplitude has some kind of 2C Plus plugin. I've never used it myself, but I've heard some good things about it, so I would recommend getting into that. And when it comes to guitars, I would just recommend using a guitar with humbuckers. I would definitely highlight the importance of using active pickups here, because I did hear a sonic difference when I recorded with passive pickups as opposed to active pickups. So when it comes to cabs and microphones and so forth, I would just use a quality speaker, quality Celestion, and of course, when it comes to microphones, you could always just use the classic SM57, cheap microphone, but still quality. It's definitely a microphone that I've pretty much used on all recordings in my videos, so can't really go wrong with an SM57. Anyway guys, that's pretty much it for this video. If you like this video, go ahead and leave a like, comment if you have any questions, and consider subscribing to the channel. We release videos like these on a weekly basis, so hopefully guys, we will see you in the next video.